So in today's training, we're covering how to create wealth through real estate investing to build a secure financial future in today's market through active and passive income without any experience, without using your own money, and without working 40 plus hours a week. And so let's go ahead, let's get started. And I want to welcome everyone here for being here. I want to applaud you for being here too, because you're taking the time out of your day to better yourself. And it's investing time like you're doing right now into trainings just like this one that's going to get you ahead in life. And it really gets you to where you want to go. And it's trainings like these that I've been a part of for well over a decade that have helped me get ahead. So I want you to know, whether it's been in the early mornings, afternoons, late evenings, doing trainings like these to get ahead, you're my people because you're doing exactly the same things that I do to get to where I want to go in life. All right, and now I got 3 important questions for you. So number 1, how would you like to acquire a rental property, fix and flip a house, or wholesale a house every single month? And number 2, how would you like to do this without spending 12 plus years learning like we've had to do, without having to work 40 plus hours a week, and without having to use your own money? And number 3, how would you like to do this without spending 1 cent in marketing to get high value real estate deals? Well, if this is appealing to you, this is exactly what we're covering today. And by the end of this training, the outcome is going to be that if you're already doing deals, then you're going to learn how to do more deals faster and easier than ever before and with less capital. And if you haven't done your first deal, then you're going to know exactly what you need to do in order to get it. And whenever I attend trainings, I always like to say, if I get 1 golden nugget out of it, then it makes it all worth it. And my goal is that you get 20 golden nuggets from today's training. And now there's probably a lot of people here that have seen our YouTube channel. If not, we recently pulled some crazy stats. And it's that we've actually had over 3 million views on our videos and over 300,000 hours watched. So that's over 12,500 days of helping people to accomplish their real estate investing goals. And throughout the years, people always asked us, how do you do what you do? And so we started making videos and trainings on what everyone was asking us questions about. And so it's been pretty apparent that what we have to say resonates with those who want to get started investing into real estate. And there's nothing we really enjoy more than helping others to achieve their goals and to help educate you to take action on what you actually need to do, because there's so much noise out there and it's just a noisy world. So our mission today is to really be that signal through the noise and to help you get ahead in life. And I totally get it about real estate. It can be so confusing at first. So when I started, right, there's so many different aspects of real estate. There's so many different avenues of real estate you hear about as well. And I want you to know, when I got started, I thought commercial real estate had to do something with TV commercials. And I was pretty wrong about that. So I want you to know, we're starting from the same place. If you don't know anything about real estate, don't worry. I started exactly there too. And so today, we're going to be the signal through the noise. And my goal is that by the end of this training, you'll be ready to wholesale, which we'll dive into if you don't know what it is yet, fix and flip, and or buy and hold your next real estate deal. And this is without any experience, without using your own money, and without having to work 40 plus hours a week. And now you may be asking, why the heck are we doing this? Well, number 1, people have always asked us to do trainings just like these and to share what we know about building wealth through real estate. And number 2, it's my goal that this is the best training you go through on your real estate business this year. And I've been a part of a lot of high-performing business teams and sports teams throughout the years. And I want us to treat today in this training right now as halftime. So with any high-performing team, whether we're winning or losing at halftime of a game, we always have a talk and we always have a philosophy that the score is 0-0. So however your start in real estate has been going this year, or maybe we haven't taken any action yet or even gotten started yet, or maybe your real estate business isn't going the way that you want at the moment, well, we have to pretend it's halftime right now. It's halftime, and we have to leave whatever has happened in the past, right? Whatever stories that are holding us back from moving forward and really accomplishing what we want, we need to drop those stories. And it's time to reflect and say, what am I going to change to actually finally start winning, to start scoring, right? What am I going to start doing differently to finally get to where I want to go? And that's what the score and that's what the philosophy of 0-0 is about, right? It's about starting fresh with a clean slate and not letting anything hold us back anymore from getting to where we want to go. Now, one thing, if you don't know by now, is that we love, we eat, we sleep, we breathe real estate. And these are just some of the wholesales, fix and flips, and rental properties that we've been able to purchase throughout the years. And my business partners and I, we've been doing this for over 12 years now. And I absolutely can't do this by myself. I'm here today, but this is our whole entire team. And I want you to know that everyone here is passionate about learning, compounding our learning, compounding our knowledge, and then also investing our time and investing our capital into real estate and making an active and passive income through real estate. And I also want to give a shout out to our awesome community. We actually have thousands of clients across the nation that we help to wholesale, fix and flip, and buy and hold real estate. And so if you've been following us, you've seen the countless wins that we, our students and clients have been having across the nation. And then here's just some of the wins and celebrations from our students that we've gone throughout the years. And there's nothing that we love more than seeing our students win. And then here's a map of the majority of our students across the United States. And what's important to understand is that we're right now, today, headquartered in San Diego, but what we do just doesn't work in San Diego by itself. It works all the way across the nation. And you have to understand there's an abundant amount of deals across the nation. Hundreds of thousands of active properties on the market right now that can be wholesaled, fixed and flipped, and bought as rental properties at cash flow. So I want you to know that what we're covering today isn't something that's just worked one time or 1 year or 1 month. What we're covering today has been working for us for over 12 plus years. We've learned a lot along the way, and we always learn from other people as well. We've stood on the shoulder of giants and continue to do that. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Alex Martinez. I'm the CEO and founder of realestateskills.com, and we coach and train and teach thousands of investors how to consistently get high value real estate deals. And my first year alone in business, I went from knowing nothing to my partners and I doing over 12 million in revenue and over 1.2 million in profit. And I've been active in real estate for over 12 years now, and I've been involved in hundreds of real estate transactions, but not just residential real estate like single family houses, but also commercial like office buildings and multifamily like apartment buildings too. And I've worked with high profile companies that have been on A&E's Flip This House, as well as Inc. 500's list of fastest growing companies in the nation. And then also I have to give a shout out to my business partner, Ryan Zalmarodi. So he's the chief operating officer here at Real Estate Skills, and he's absolutely a real estate genius. And Ryan is the one that makes Real Estate Skills run. So he's always on top of the cutting edge trends and updates across the country. He's working with our attorneys on a daily basis and making sure we're doing everything by the book and leading the industry. And Ryan has masterfully acquired properties in over 12 states and has an 8-figure rental portfolio that's growing every day. And he specializes in acquisitions, property management, capital partnerships, rehabbing, contracts, real estate brokerage. And we have a wealth of knowledge in this space. But I wanted to give this special shout out to Ryan because he's been assisting thousands of investors to get started. He's my right-hand man. Now I'm about to dive in, but one thing I've learned about the wealthy is that they have whys bigger than themselves. And it was Nietzsche who said, he or she has a why to live for, can bear almost any how. And I wanted to share this today because for me, it took me getting down the dumps. And it took really life-altering situations for me to actually say, I need to make the decision for myself to go all in on real estate. And I need to really not let anything hold me back anymore. And I need a why bigger than myself. And for me personally, my why is my family. And what I want you to know is that I'm not a trust fund baby. I wasn't given any money or any handouts. And my parents were not entrepreneurial. They were not business owners, and they were not in real estate. In fact, my parents divorced when I was 10 years old. And we always had the financial troubles and really a lot of stress of moving around to find more affordable housing all of the time. And I'm not sharing this as like a sob story. I'm sharing this because we all have our challenges and we all come from somewhere, right? In the beginning for me, finances and money were always an issue for my family. And it really was one of the things that tore my family apart. And at a young age, I made a promise to myself that I was never, ever going to let finances negatively affect my family again. So when I became of age, when I could actually do something about it, I made the promise that I was going to make an impact with my life and create a beautiful life for my family and my children. And now this is me with my family today, where I took my mom wine tasting for her 60th birthday, and my mother raised my brother, my sister, and I, and she was a hardworking single mom, and she's a huge part of my why. And so like I mentioned, growing up, finances were always an issue for me. Probably for like a lot of us, right? And with my personal story, right, how I got started 12 years ago was I went to college because I thought this was the normal and correct path. But very quickly at college, I learned that I was just a sheep going to class every day, learning from professors that have never really built businesses, and they had jobs themselves, right? They didn't have businesses. So I wasn't actually learning the skills that I wanted to be learning to better myself, to personally and professionally grow. And I knew that I really had to get out of this situation I was in, right? I had to find a better path for myself because college wasn't going to present this path for me, right? I wasn't going to get a handout from college on, hey, here's the path. So it was during this time that I started working 9-to-5 jobs, and these jobs weren't really getting me anywhere. And so I started to keep on searching, and eventually I started to acquire mentors. And I stumbled upon real estate. And these mentors shared things with me like, Alex, did you know most of the world's millionaires actually invest into real estate? And it was around the same time that I decided to start working with one of my mentors. And here I am napping under my desk, and this was when I was working 80 plus hours a week, and I was in the trenches going all in on real estate, right? And there I am with the listings pulled up on my computer, tons of notes all over my desk. And it was right around this time that I talked with myself and I said, Alex, in your life, anytime you've gone all in on something, it has always worked out. Whenever you have gone all in, it has never not worked out. So I decided to go all in on real estate. I decided to change my life. And if you're here today, I want to challenge you to go all in real estate. Because when I finally went all in over 12 years ago, within 45 days, I was able to close my first real estate deal. And this wasn't just any type of real estate deal, right? I wasn't a real estate agent selling a house. I wasn't licensed. But within 45 days of going all in, I wholesaled my first house and made $22,000 of profit. So this was me, just a college kid who had credit card debt, student loan debt, who was basically eating tuna and ramen every single day because that was all I could afford at the time. And now I was able to close my first real estate deal, and my partners and I made $22,000 of profit, right? This was the deal that changed my entire life, this first deal. And it's more than just the money, right? If you've done your first deal, you know this shows you what's possible, right? This showed me what's possible. And in total, this deal only took about 8 hours of work, this first real estate deal. So at a very young age, right, I learned, I could get a 9-to-5 job, I could make $20 an hour, but on this specific deal, it took 8 hours. And when you divide 22,000 by 8 hours, that's well over $2,000 an hour, right? Pretty life-changing. And so that year I went all in, and my partners and I profited over $1.2 million from wholesaling and flipping real estate, and we did over 50 deals that first year. Now, what I did differently than a lot of people was, number one, I stuck to it, right? I didn't give up. I didn't quit. I burned the ships, and I said, I'm going to do this no matter what, right? I went all in. And number two, I developed systems. I started building systems from an early age, and I started to understand that I was repeating a process over and over and over again as I was consistently getting these types of deals. And then I said, you know what? Let me build a system and actually plug other people into the system, because systems allow us to scale and grow. Systems allow us to work on higher revenue generating activities. And I actually built something called the MLS offer system, which we use today, and is our favorite acquisition channel for real estate deals. And I'll dive into this system pretty soon, right? We use this to wholesale houses, fix and flip houses, to buy and hold commercial, multifamily, and other houses as rental properties. And we built this system to really remove the work from you so that you don't have to do everything in the business, right? This is how we create leverage. This is something that I learned wealthy people do, right? They leverage systems and they leverage other people's systems to work on higher revenue generating activities. Now, since getting started, our business plan has been very, very simple, and we don't need to overcomplicate this. Our business plan has been to wholesale and flip houses, which allows us to make an active income, and then we reinvest that income into buying rental properties, which gives us passive income. And we're going to go exactly through this today, step by step, on how you can do this. And this business plan is something that if you just follow this and take action on it, this can create generational wealth for you and your family. And this is a business plan that you don't need a college degree for and that you don't need a real estate license for. And this is one of the reasons why my business partners and I are so passionate about this, right? There are a lot of people saying you need to go to college and get a job to be financially secure. But my business partners and I we took the road less traveled. We took the non-traditional path of being real estate entrepreneurs and became financially free. And this path has taken us to where we've gotten today. And so throughout the years, we actually developed something called the evolution of a real estate investor. And what this is really, this is a code to wealth. And what it is that those who are extremely successful in real estate typically start out wholesaling real estate, which we'll dive into if you're not aware of it yet. And what wholesaling allows us to do in a nutshell is make quick profits and consistent cash flow to our business in the form of active income. And here are just some examples of wholesale deals that we've done throughout the years. Now, as we wholesale real estate, we really start to begin to learn. We begin to learn what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. We're then able to fix and flip the best deals that come across our plate, which allows us to get a larger flip profit per deal. And it's really important that we do both wholesaling and flipping, right? This allows us to keep the lights on and allows us to start building a nest egg of capital. And once we start fixing and flipping, this is where we can start seeing larger profits than wholesale fees. So when we wholesale deals, we like to aim for a $10,000 profit per deal. Sometimes you'll see $20,000, $30,000. But now when we do fix and flip profits, you're going to see higher profits than that and a higher ROI in general. And then here are just some fix and flip deals that we've been able to do throughout the years with my partners. And then once we wholesale and fix and flip consistently, guess what's happening? We're building a nest egg of capital. What do we do with that capital now? Now what we do, this is one of the most important things, we reinvest that capital back into rental properties to get passive income, to get cash flow. And this is what we want to do because this is what builds long-term generational wealth. Investing into rental properties is what truly brings financial freedom and security. And then here are just a few of our rental properties. Here's Ryan at one of our properties that brings in cash flow of over 5 figures a month. Here we are at another property. And then here's an apartment building Ryan and I purchased these 11 units in San Diego this past year as well, because we're reinvesting our capital, right? That's what we're doing with it. And it was Steve Jobs who said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So when I started out, there was no evolution of a real estate investor, right? There was no code to wealth. But from 12 years of doing this, we started to see the signals through the noise. And we've really been able to connect the dots looking backwards. And we've just seen it time and time again, that if we just follow this path, then we have the opportunity to build tremendous wealth through real estate. But we have to stick to it, right? That's the hard thing. You know, a lot of people aren't going to stick to this. A lot of people aren't going to go all in. So today is about how we are going to make this happen so we can achieve the results that you want and start building wealth through real estate. Now, I'm going to cover how to get the most out of this training. And what we'll do is apply the code of honor. So number one, first off, please be coachable, right? If we're not open-minded, if we're not coachable, how the heck are we going to learn, right? All of the best athletes and all the best students, all the best entrepreneurs have coaches. So please be coachable today because we're going to be covering a lot of different concepts that you may have not heard about before. And also, if you have questions, at the end of this training, we're going to be doing an open Q&A session at the end, all right, on these concepts. So if something's not clear, ask that question and we'll be able to get to it. And now number two is be positive, be active, and take notes. So part of how we learn is through active listening and being actually active. So be sure to take notes. And it's proven we retain more information when we physically write and take notes. Now, number three, turn that cell phone to silent and don't multitask. So right now is not the time to have TikTok open or to be watching Netflix or anything like that. We're going to be talking about real estate for our time together. And then number four, let's be distraction free and give 100%. So I'm going to be giving you 100%, give me 100%, and we're going to be learning a lot here today. All right, so today's three core topics, they're going to be number one, how to build true wealth and passive income through real estate. Number two, how to build passive and active income without using your own money. And number three, how to find and acquire massively discounted deals in less than 40 hours a week without spending $1 on marketing and without any experience. So let's dive into it. So number one, how to build true wealth and passive income through real estate. Now, first, what we have to address is a macroeconomic problem of the employee mindset. And in the beginning of my journey, one of my mentors early on told me, Alex, you have to start tracking your finances on an annual basis. And let me tell you, this was painful at first, and I didn't like doing it, but I listened to my mentor, and from me taking action, from me being coachable, my mentor started sharing more information with me that was absolutely life-changing. And so when I filled out my financial statement of me being an employee at the time, working a 9-to-5 job, he said, okay, so your job is bringing you in a salary, right? Your income. But Alex, you're breaking your back. You're doing manual labor. You're always working for your money. And he said, I mean, what if something happens to you? What if you break your leg? And I said, you know what? I'll take, sick time or PTO, pay time off if possible. And then if my broken leg isn't too bad, I'll come back, right? And keep on working. And he said, okay, Alex, but you have to see this as a huge issue, right? If you're always going to be having to work for money, then we're going to run into issues because things can come up. Life events can come up. And you're always, always, always going to be having liabilities that you have to pay for, like your mortgage, like your car, like your taxes, like your insurance. And what if that paid time off runs out? What if sick leave runs out? Then you're stuck dead in the water with no way to pay bills or take care of your family, let alone yourself, because your income is not covering your liabilities. And what he started to point out was that wealthy people in the world don't always spend their time just working for money, right? The wealthy people in the world have assets that cover their liabilities. The wealthy people have real estate assets that bring in passive income and bring in cash flow. And my mentor said, look, a piece of real estate never needs to take vacations. A piece of real estate doesn't break a leg. A piece of real estate doesn't take days off if it doesn't feel like working. A piece of real estate doesn't get the flu, right? Starting to get it? And so this was a big breakthrough for me because when I was starting on real estate, right, I was looking at the wealthiest people in the world. I was like, why the heck do they do this? Why real estate? Well, they also get the tax benefits. They get depreciation. But when you invest into real estate assets that bring in cash flow and passive income, what it really does is it allows your money to work for you. And when you don't have the ability to work, your money is always working for you, getting a passive income, and it gives you and your family the opportunity to always be safe, to always be financially secure, and to truly build true wealth. And so as an employee, right, this employee mindset's really always stuck in working for money. The employee mindset is programmed to always be working for money. The employee mindset is asking questions like, how can I get that raise? How can I work for that overtime and get paid more? Whereas investors are always thinking about, what can I invest in that can bring me a passive and active income? See the difference? And what we've seen with the issue that's really going on macroeconomically across the nation of people being stuck in the employee mindset is that when you have a capped salary and a capped raise every single year, it doesn't matter as an employee if you work harder or smarter, you're going to get paid the same exact amount every single day. And in the employee mindset, right, what's the employee saying? They're saying things like, hey, can you guarantee my success because my income's guaranteed? So what's the benefit of working smarter? What's the benefit of working harder? There really isn't a benefit. And right, they're used to that capped salary and raise. Whereas an investor, we're asking questions like, what can I realistically accomplish? So investors understand that the more correct inputs and the harder and smarter we work, we'll get rewards for that. And as investors, we also understand that there's no cap on our income and that our income can be between 0 and infinity. And this is the big difference between the employee mindset and that investor mindset. And when learning about real estate, we have to start understanding that it's like real life monopoly. And if we're able to invest in real estate, then the more real estate we own, the more cash flow we're going to get. And the more cash flow we get, the more freedom we're going to have. Because now our assets can actually cover our liabilities. And we have to understand that we have to take our head out of the sand And understand that if we don't have assets covering our liabilities, our expenses, our taxes, our utilities, our food costs, our gasoline, then we're going to have trouble eventually later on. And we're always going to be stuck working for money and get into trouble sooner or later. And this is something that my business partners and I realized early on. Now, just alone in the last couple of years, we've acquired well over 233 rental units in multifamily, commercial, and also single family that we're renting out and earning cash flow on and passive income on. And this was done very intentionally because the point of this was to acquire assets by investing into real estate that bring us cash flow. But I want you to know, I absolutely didn't start at this level. I first gained the foundational real estate skills and then graduated to this level over time. So we have to address this problem, right, of the employee mindset. This was one of the problems that held me back in the beginning. This could be something that's holding you back because it's holding a lot of people back. And we have to shift from that employee mindset to the investor mindset. And we do that by starting to invest in assets that cover your liabilities and expenses. And once we do this, this is called getting out of the rat race. This is how you get unstuck. This is how you get momentum. Because if we don't have assets paying us for money or working for us, what's going to happen? We'll always have to work for money. We'll always have to have a job. And that's not the goal here. It's not what we're trying to achieve. That's not how we build wealth, right? And now we got to hit the next problem. And I'm guilty of this one, all right? It's a funny one, and I'm pretty darn guilty of it. And it's saving. So I did a quick Google search before this, and this is what Google and the reports are saying about retirement and saving. And so let's take a look. It says, even top earners still might not be prepared for retirement. The retirement outlook for Americans, 42% may retire broke. Baby boomers are hitting peak 65. 2/3 don't have nearly enough saved for retirement. So it goes on and on and on. There's a big lie going on about the 401k. And a lot of us think, hey, if I'm just an employee and I invest and save into a 401k, then everything's going to be all right, right? I'll be able to turn 65 and drive off into the sunset. But here's a report from Vanguard that surveyed 5 million people that they were managing money for. Now, the median account balance at 65 years old of the 401k is $88,000 from their survey. So how long do you think at 65 years old that $88,000 will allow you to live for, right? How long do you think $88,000 will allow you to survive? Yeah, I know, not pretty long, right? If your expenses are $5,000 a month, that's basically less than a year and a half. And so this is a report from Vanguard on how America saves. And we have to realize this, right? We have to say, hey, saving and that traditional path might not get us where we want to go very well, right? It might not be the track, saving might not be the track to building wealth. And then here's another important thing to understand. Anyone can go here to usdebtclock.org. I pulled this the other day, and the U.S. national debt is over $35 trillion. And if you look at it right now, I mean, it keeps going up. It's going to definitely be higher than this, but every single day, the U.S. is getting into more and more debt. And this is an issue because even the debt of our Social Security is going up. It's well over 27 trillion. So the U.S. government is going to save us. They're getting into more debt. Social Security isn't going to save us. And we have to start thinking for ourselves instead of thinking that we're going to rely on the government or someone else. Because once we start to look at these charts, and these charts here are what we talk about our company, with our clients, with our students. This is what I talk about and have discussions with my friends. We have to start facing the music, right? This is the U.S. money supply chart. For a long time, this chart's just showing since 1960, but for a long time, we've been printing money. And we've been aggressively printing money as a nation ever since COVID happened as well, right? Remember, during COVID, everyone's saying, yay, free money. Well, there's absolutely consequences to that. So look what happens to the U.S. dollar purchasing power. This is the value of the U.S. dollar. It's been going down aggressively. And we have to ask ourselves, is the value of the dollar, do you think it's going to keep going up or keep going down when we look at this? What do you think? And we have to ask ourselves, do we think the U.S. is going to keep printing money or not? And I think if we look at these graphs, right, we know the answer to that. Yeah, they're going to keep printing money. So we came to the conclusion that money's still going to be printed like it has been for a long time. And the value of the dollar, when we print more money, it's going to keep on going down. So what happens if we hold on to our money? What happens if we just save money and not invest it, right? What does this mean? Because when we look at these charts, when we're printing money like we have been, here's exactly what's happening. Something called inflation. You probably heard about it. And so when we take a look at even more stats, right? When we look at the average saving account interest, it's at 0.58% annually. So if you're saving your money and inflation, where it's currently at, is negative 3.3%, then if you're saving your money in a savings account, you are losing negative 2.72% on your money year after year after year. And if you have a stockpile of cash right now, then every single day, every single month, and every single year, it's going down, continually going down in value. And what we have to do is start taking our head out of the sand once again and start facing the music. Because it was Albert Einstein who said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And so when we look at inflation, if you don't understand compound interest, it can work for you beautifully, right? It can turn $1 into 100, or it can work against you. It can turn $1 into negative 100. And if we're saving our money, we're losing it to inflation, then we're negatively compounding our money in the wrong direction, right? That's what's happening to us. If you're saving your money in a savings account, then you're losing money in the negative direction. So that's not winning, right? That's losing. And when we look at Warren Buffett's net worth, right, an investor who's been investing over time, who understands compound interest, we see that he started with a 5K net worth on this graph and has compounded just on this graph to over 58 billion by the time he was 83. So this is what compound interest looks like when we invest our money. And what we have to do is start to understand the power of compound interest as an investor, right? This is one of the foundational real estate skills that we need to develop. Now for this chart here, look what happens when we compound our money at a 1% rate, right? So imagine we had a 1% savings account. I'm going to add more than the 0.58% interest. It's going to take a very long time for us to make any significant amount of capital, right? So if we look at this in 24 years at 1% interest compounded, at year 24, we're going to have $27,000 more dollars for a total of $127,000 in 24 years. That's not going to move the needle for us, right? Especially with inflation. It's not even going to keep up with inflation. We're going to lose our money to inflation at 1% interest, right? So we have to start looking at this and we have to ask, how do we beat inflation? We need to invest our capital and we need it to compound for us. So let's look at 12% interest on our money each year. So at 12% interest, we're going to be looking at 140,000 in year 3, 200,000 in year 6, 400,000 in year 12, and then year 24, 1.6 million. Now let's look at 24% interest compounded. Year 3, 200,000, year 6, 400,000, year 12, 1.6 million, and year 4, $24 million. Right? There's a difference when we're able to invest at a higher interest rate and we're able to beat inflation. Magic happens, right? Magical things can happen for us when we're investing wisely. And so the problem with saving is that saving is actually losing, right? So the solution is we have to invest, right? We have to invest wisely. We can't be saving our capital into a savings account. Otherwise, we have negative compounding interest working against us. When we invest our money wisely, we have compound interest working for us. And then here are some of my favorite investors. This is their net worth today. We have Warren Buffett at $135 billion, Ray Dalio at $15.4 billion, Carl Icahn at $5.5 billion. And it's really because these individuals understand that investing was going to get them where they want to go, and it has, right? And this is what we need to do and understand as well. So the third problem that we need to address now is the actual vehicle itself, all right? We have to really understand that if we haven't gotten the results that we want in business and in life or in real estate, it might be because something else has been taking your attention. too much of your focus. And I see this all the time, right? We coach thousands of people to get started in real estate. So the big problem today is that there's a lot of people who are confused. There's people that see stocks in the stock market and they see a news report and now they think about stocks and they say, hey, you know what? I want to be investing into stocks, but you know what? Do you know the CEO of that company when you're investing into that stock? Or are you taking a leap of faith? And there's a lot of people saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to be a day trader. Good luck, right? If I had a quarter for every time someone told me they were going to be a day trader, I would have a lot of freaking quarters. And then the next month, right, they're not a day trader. They're onto something else. What do they go on to, right? Now they're on to crypto, right? This cryptocurrency where people get FOMO and the fear of missing out. And they say, oh my gosh, I'm a real estate expert. And, I invest in the Dogecoin and Bitcoin. People are pretending they're experts in cryptocurrency when in reality, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know if it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And right, is Dogecoin even real, right? There's these meme coins that people invest in and then they tank absolutely the next month. And then people are saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to create a drop shipping store, right? Like create an Amazon store. And they say, yeah, I'm going to create this drop shipping business. And then guess what? They do nothing. They do nothing with it. And then they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start a social media business. And they have no business plan whatsoever, right? They're just saying things. They're not really doing much. They're unfocused. And the reality is that a majority of people are going nowhere fast because of this. And guys, I was in this situation at first too, right? It really wasn't until a mentor sat me down and said, Alex, you're trying to build all of these different bridges. You have half-built bridges, quarter-built bridges. You have to focus on one bridge at a time. You have to build that bridge to the other side and get to the promised line. No more half-built bridges. Once I heard that, I took that to heart and decided to build one bridge. And that bridge was real estate. I decided to solely focus on it, and that's when I started to see success. So why do we love real estate? All right, let me show you. Here's the median house price in the United States over time. And this upward trend, the median house price, this is called appreciation. So if you study the real estate charts over time, you'll see that it's cyclical, but real estate always appreciates, right? It always goes up. And this means that if you invest in real estate today, it will go up over time and can beat inflation. And real estate really is a hedge against inflation. That's how we look at it, and an ever-growing asset. And when you start to compare real estate versus stocks, you'll start to see that real estate's a hard asset, right? It's real. You can live in it. You can rent it out. You can't live in a stock. And what's also beautiful with real estate is that you can get a lot of leverage. It's very normal to get leverage, right? You can put 20% down on a property and then own that property outright. You can get the rest from a bank. It's very, very difficult, very, very challenging, and not normal to do that with stocks, right? So we're able to use leverage. It's an ever-growing asset. It can beat inflation, and you can put 20% down on a property to buy an entire piece of real estate, right? Where else can you do that? What other industry? Right? This allows us to scale and grow because we can buy a lot of real estate with leverage. It's why we love it. And now I want to show you the power of just what one humble real estate deal can do. And here's my business partner, Ryan Zomorodi. And now back in the day, over 10 years ago, we used to be roommates. And this was really back when Ryan had a 9-to-5 job. He used to work for Pepsi. And this job was more like a 4:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. job that he had. And every single day, I would see him slugging it to work and get home late, dreading the next day and just being tired. And every single day, I saw a little bit of his soul leave his body because of how draining this job was, right? He really knew it wasn't the answer, and he knew that he had to change his life. And in 2015, Ryan bought this humble property on Tate Drive, and Ryan found real estate. He knew there was a better way. And I want to show you now what the power of one rental property can do, because this was life-changing once we really looked at these numbers, and this can be life-changing for you. So Ryan purchased Tate Drive for $155,000. But guess what? He didn't need to bring all $155,000. He was able to put 20% down, which was $31,000. So Ryan was working his 9-to-5 job, and he was saving up and saving up and saving up until he had enough capital. And really, even at the time, Ryan didn't even know what he was saving up for, right? He didn't have the knowledge at first to invest in real estate. But when he found real estate, he then knew what he wanted to invest in. So when he did invest in this property, day one, he was able to rent it out for $1,300 a month. And now with paying principal, interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and property management, he was able to get $366 in cash flow and profit from his investment every single month. And now when we do the math on this, on the $31,000 he put into it, that cash flow on an annual basis was $4,392. Now this turns out to be a 14.16% return just from the cash flow alone on this one angle. Not bad, but let's look at it from another angle as well. This is when it starts to get fun. So let's look at the debt reduction over time from this property. We average out the debt reduction across 9 years from having a tenant inside the property and paying down the principal. So this is the amount that's owed on the mortgage. And the tenant actually paid down the mortgage $2,237 every single year. And when we analyze this with the $31,000 Ryan put down, this is a 7.2% cash on cash return. And what's beautiful, what's happening here is the tenant's actually paying down his debt for him. Ryan's net worth is increasing every single month because of the principal pay down that the tenant is paying for him. His net worth is passively increasing, and just from this alone, he's getting a 7.2% cash on cash return. Now, what also happens when you own a property like this are the tax benefits. So mortgage interest, depreciation, repairs, insurance, local travel, long distance travel, home office, employees, contractors. You get a lot of benefits, but specifically I'll focus on one for now, and that's going to be depreciation, right? One of the secrets of the wealthy is depreciating assets that you invest into. So we can depreciate the building structure, but we can't depreciate the building land. And when we divide the depreciation across the normal 27.5 years and we look at the tax savings, there's about $1,785 in tax savings every single year, which is a 5.75% return. Now this is all adding up and it's all going to make sense in just a second. So number 4, the property appreciation that's happening every year. When we average the property's appreciation that's happening every single year in this deal, there's a $12,400 increase every single year at 8% from Ryan investing his capital in this property. Now that alone is a 40% return when compared to his down payment. Now when we add all of this up now, right, we have to look at the whole entire picture of this humble property because most people don't understand the impact from one rental property. When we add everything up, the cash flow, the debt reduction, tax savings, appreciation, it's actually a total return of 67.11% from one humble investment property. That's the power of investing into real estate. And when we understand that saving is the issue, and we understand that one humble property has the potential to give us 67% returns, right? This was mind-blowing. And because when my mentor showed me this chart and said, Alex, you're losing money when you invest into a savings account 1%, and here's what it looks like when it's compounded, right? I was always wondering, how the heck do I get in the 12% bracket? How do I get in the 24% bracket? How do I compound my money at that rate, right? It seemed unachievable. But real estate is the answer. Real estate is the path to be able to get there. This is how I've been able to compound my number at 12%. This is how I've been able to compound my money at 12%, 24%, right? To be able to hit those returns. And one thing that we say at Real Estate Skills is that Real Estate Skills isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-for-sure plan. And I found no better plan for building wealth than real estate once we really break down these numbers. And so now I want to ask you, everyone in the chat, let me know, if you could acquire a rental just like this one, Tate Drive, how many rentals do you want in your lifetime that can bring you cash flow every single month and the tax benefits and increase your net worth? So let me know right now, how many rental properties do you want just like this one over time? Let me know. I'll check out the chat. Let's take a look. All right, I see 10, 100, 2,000, 5, as much as I can, as many as I can handle, as much as I can get, all of them. All right, good answers. Right? The answer is as many as possible, right? Why just stop at one, right? Because the truth is one humble property is not going to be changing your life dramatically. One property, if I give you $300 a month of cash flow, that's not going to be ridiculously life-changing. But what can 10 properties do for you? What can 20 properties do for you? What can 30 properties do for you? Right? This is a journey and why we've been able to be in real estate for 12 plus years. This is why we're in real estate. This is something that, we're not just doing for 1 month or 30 days or 6 months. It's why we plan on being in real estate forever. Because once you start to understand this, there's really no reason to get out of this, right? And I want to dedicate as much time as I can to real estate. And we want to spend as much time, as much capital as we can investing back into real estate. And then I do want to ask one more question. So would you rather have just one Tate Drive be given this property, or would you rather know how to acquire a property like this every single month? Would you rather have the system, the knowledge, the know-how to do this every single month, or just be gifted a property, not have the knowledge, the systems, and know-how? Let me know in the chat. All right, the system, the know-how. Yeah, teach a man to fish. Yeah, there we go. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats forever. Exactly, right? The system, the knowledge, so you can consistently do this. And someone who understands this, I want to show you a good friend and someone I really enjoy spending time with and that works for us. This is Max, and he also understands the importance of building wealth. So at 30 years old, Max was actually diagnosed with stage 3 cancer and had to undertake chemotherapy, and he almost died from this cancer. And this was extremely life-altering for him, and a lot of things started to change for Max. And for a lot of us, sometimes it takes experiences like this in our life and our families to really start to be able to draw the line in the sand and say, you know what? I'm not going to let anything hold me back anymore, right? I got to make this happen, right? What if cancer comes back and I can't work for money and I'm out of a regular job, right? Then what? So before Max was diagnosed with cancer, he was bartending and working in sales. But let me tell you about Max. Max is a freaking fighter, and Max beat cancer. And through this experience and going through chemo, he started thinking, how the heck do I invest my money wisely, right? Right? How do I have my money work for me in case this ever happens again and I can't work because of this near-death experience and I can't take care of myself, I can't take care of my family, right? And at this point, Max had nothing to lose, right? And in his heart, he felt like he needed to find a better way. And Max found real estate, and we started working together. And he started utilizing our systems and started to acquire rental properties. In just 2.5 years, Max went from having no rental units, no doors, to having over 17 doors. And this one property in particular, he purchased this year, and he just purchased one this week as well. But this one I want to show you because this is what's possible in today's market right now. I'm not talking about 10 years ago. I'm talking about today, right now, what's possible. So this property is in Ohio. It's on Raymer Boulevard. And Max purchased this property for a total purchase price of $78,000. But as we know, Max was able to use leverage and put $15,600 down. He got an interest rate at 7.5% interest, and the property cash flows $500 a month and over $6,100 a year. Right? That's the power of one deal right there. But Max hasn't just bought one property, obviously. He has 17 doors now. And then here's another member of our team. This is Jonathan. And there's Jonathan and I. He was just in the office, and he bought his 4th rental unit in the last 12 months. And here's a chat with Jonathan. He just said, just got door number 4 under contract in the middle of a cash out refi for the Alabama slow burr. After that's done, going to purchase another Section 8 property in Birmingham. And then we're joking around. He said, but all the gurus are right? There are no deals on the MLS. So we joke around in here all the time because all of the deals that I'm showing you, the overwhelming majority of them were found on the market and with real estate agents. Right? There's hundreds of thousands of active properties on the market, just like this one, that can be acquired at a discount for cash flow, for wholesaling, for flipping. So I'm going to be diving into the MLS, the multiple listing service. But what I really want you to know is that both Max and Jonathan, they work their butts off, right? They don't spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week finding these properties, right? They leverage their time. They spend 10 to 15 hours a week to find great rental properties like these and to build their wealth. And so Jonathan just got that 4th rental unit in 12 months' time. Very proud of him and honored to call him a friend. And now here's our student, Yakir. Yakir just acquired a property, and his plan is to do a small renovation, list it for rent, do a cash out refi, go on to the next deal, and then probably resell it after 2 years. So in his specific market, it looks like the appreciation, it's about 5%, and he's parking his capital there in that property to get that appreciation, to beat inflation, and to build wealth, right? That's the power of utilizing the real estate vehicle. That's the power of focus. And this is what we teach all of our students and our clients in our Pro Buy and Hold program. This is how we go ahead and analyze these properties. This is how we find and source properties. This is how we offer and acquire and close on deals. It's how we manage these properties locally, virtually. This is how we grow our portfolio. This is how we invest into real estate. And right now I've been having a lot of people message me. So if you're interested in learning more about this and interested in getting started with our team, then what you can do is go to realestateskills.com/call. And also that link is at the top of the chat right now. And you can go there and you can book a call with my team and see what it's like to work with professionals, see what it's like to get professional help, professional coaching, what it's like to acquire these types of rental properties if this is something of interest to you. All right, so you can just go to realestateskills.com/call, especially if you're in a time crunch right now, but let's dive right back into it. And so the problem here that we see is that people are picking the wrong vehicle time after time again, like stocks and crypto and drop shipping, among others, to build wealth. But as you can see, buying rental properties has the potential to produce over 24% returns, 12% returns, 30% returns, right? We saw 60% returns. This is what we want to use to compound our money, right? This is freedom. This is how we get financial security through real estate. Whereas investing into a stock market, right, you see all the time average stock returns of 10%. So it's not going to be through stocks. It's not going to be through crypto that you have no idea about. It's not going to be through something that isn't proven, right? Real estate has been around since the beginning of time. And what does every single person need? Well, they need food, they need water, and shelter. So what's shelter? It's real estate. So we always know that people will need real estate, which is why we always see that appreciation go up. People will always need a roof over their head, which is why it makes it such a beautiful investment vehicle, because everyone needs it. And now here are some truths about this particular section. It's that one rental property of $300 to $500 of cash flow a month is not going to be life-changing, right? But it's not about one. It's about acquiring as many as we can and as soon as we can. And then in addition to buying real estate, it's important to know that we also have to learn how to find deals, how to analyze these deals, how to raise the money, how to renovate the properties, and even more. So how can we reach our goals of acquiring as many rental units as possible while doing it with speed and then without having unlimited capital and resources? Because I didn't have the $30,000 down payment at first when I started put down on a rental property. I didn't have the $15,000 down payment like Max put down on a property, right? How do we get this capital? How do we do this without capital? How do we move quickly and be able to attain these rental units? So let's talk about how we get to these goals faster. So in this next section, we're going to cover how to build passive and active income now without using any of your own money. Now, the problem to uncover here that we have to address is that a lot of people are still going to be stuck in the employee mindset here, right? There's going to be a lot of people that are still thinking, hey, I'm just going to go work for the next 6 years, save up some money, and then maybe I'll buy one rental property every 6 years or so. And this is the quote unquote, this is the traditional path. But now I'll show you what the traditional path will get you, right? So the normal path is that we spend money, we go to college, and then we get a job, we get a salary. Well, looking at some stats, the average salary across the United States is about $59,000. And the average annual raise is about 3%. And that's not too high of a number, right? As we're talking earlier, 3% raise doesn't even beat the 3.3% inflation rate. So we're losing money from our raise by working a job, right? That's not great. We're not beating inflation. That's not a good thing. And so if you're working a job, I want to ask, right? How long do you think it takes to double your money with a 3% raise? Let's say you're making the average US salary of $59,000. How long do you think it takes to double your money? So let me know in the chat right now. How long do you think it takes to double your money? All right, see 20 years, 17 years. Too long till you retire. 300 years, 10 years, 7 years, 36 years. All right, these are some good guesses. Let's take a look. It takes 24 years to double your money from $59,000 to $120,000. It takes 24 years at a 3% raise. And it doesn't matter if you make $100,000 at a 3% raise, still takes 24 years to double your money. Right? 24 years, that's not fast, right? Let me tell you, I don't want to wait 24 years to double my money to get an additional $60,000 to then invest that into 2 rental properties for 2 down payments. Right? That's going to take a long time. That's 2 rental properties at that rate every 24 years. Right? That's a huge issue. Right? So how do we acquire capital faster? How do we acquire it faster than the normal path and traditional path? How do we get there faster? And now I want to show you the power of my first fix and flip deal. All right, this is Del Marino, and this was another deal that changed my life. So this deal, I purchased it for $390,000. I put $42,000 in the repairs, and we sold it for $535,000. Now, the total project length of this was just under 90 days. It took about 89 days from the day I bought it, renovated, and sold it, and made $61,000 of profit. And now what's very, very important to understand is that I didn't have over $400,000 in my bank account this time to actually buy this property, right? How did I do this not using my own money? What I did was I leveraged other people's money to be able to buy this property. And so for us to make an active income in real estate, if we want to fix and flip houses and get larger profits, the money is abundant out there. We have to understand that. There's this infinite amount of money out there. And I want to share 2 main lenders that we use to be able to buy properties like this and fix them without using any of our own money. And you can get 100% of the capital needed to fix and flip properties like these. So number 1 are hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are in the business of lending to fix and flippers. And so if you have a great deal, they'll lend on your deal. And then there are private money lenders. These are individuals that lend money to fix and flippers. So these can be friends, colleagues, aunts, uncles, real estate agents, escrow officers, business partners, someone you meet at a networking meeting. I mean, there's so many avenues of private money lenders. And we have to understand, borrowing this capital, this is how we use good debt to make a profit, right? Bad debt is when we buy purses that give us no return. Bad debt's when you buy a motorcycle on credit and it doesn't bring in a profit for you. Good debt's when we leverage capital to make a profit, just like we do here in real estate when we fix and flip property, right? So this made $61,000 of profit. I borrowed over $400,000. And you have to understand, right? Why do these lenders lend to you? It's because they get an interest rate. So we use this good debt to fix and flip the property and make an active income. And this $61,000 of profit was after paying back all investors, so net profit. And this particular deal took 90 days. But sometimes deals can take longer, shorter, but through fixing and flipping successfully, we can then roll these profits into buying rental properties and rinse and repeat. So once again, there's no shortage of capital. If you find great deals like these, you have the right systems in place, you can get the money you need to fix and flip properties. So this is one of the most important things to understand. If you're great at finding these deals, then the money will come. And finding great deals is an important foundational skill that we'll be able to cover today too. And what's important for us in real estate investing, and what I talk a lot about, is reverse engineering deals, right? How did I know this was a good deal? Well, we always use our systems. And this is our deal analysis system and our deal calculator. So we always reverse engineer the deals to know where we need to offer, and so that we know from our estimations that a finance profit will make over $61,000 on this deal, which proved to be true. And what we understand for our flips as well is that we need to leverage systems continually. And this deal I share with you, this was from about 10 years ago. And since then, we've been systemizing everything that we did and everything that we continue to do, right? So how do we find profitable fix and flips? Well, we found this using our MLS offer system, just like we found the rental properties I shared today. How do we analyze the fix and flip deals that we have? We use our deal analysis system using our spreadsheets, our calculators, and the rehab budget sheet. How do we raise the money? We use our financing system, our scripts. It's repeatable. We say the same thing to investors so that they lend us their capital, and we borrow that capital through a proven system. Then how do we renovate the properties? We use our general contractor system, the hiring agreements, our rehab scheduling sheet. Everything we need to use has already been created and systemized. That way we're not reinventing the wheel, right? And so now I want to ask you, it's a little funny, but would you rather work a job and have it take 24 years to double your money to make $60,000, or do one fix and flip deal and make $60,000 in 90 days? All right, I think we all know the answer, right? For us to get there faster, for us to be able to acquire the capital that we want, that we need to be able to buy rental properties so that we can build wealth, fixing and flipping can get us there faster. Fixing and flipping can be one of the answers to making active income in real estate. So what I'm talking about here is the speed and velocity of money. So if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll always be getting the same exact old results that we've been getting, right? Our life won't change, right? If I would have kept being an employee, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I'd be capped with the raise. I'd be capped with my earning potential, right? If I didn't learn how to compound my money and increase the velocity of my money, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So we all know the answer in the end. And the reality is that we can actually make an active income faster in real estate than we can having a job. And then what we can do is roll our profits into rental deals that bring you passive income. And fixing and flipping is how we can get to rental deals faster, right? You saw the power of one deal. But what's also important to understand is what's going on when we fix and flip houses. So when we fix and flip houses, we're actually learning the foundational real estate skills to buy and invest in rental properties, right? We're learning how to find distressed houses. This is how you find the best rental properties, right? How do you find the best deals with the least amount of risk and the biggest cash flow? It's from finding distressed houses that you can buy at a discount. Now we're also learning how to analyze deals when we fix and flip properties, right? What's a good deal? What's a bad deal? We're learning how to estimate the renovation costs, which is so important when we're buying rental properties because a lot of rental properties need to be renovated, right? That's how we get that's how we increase the value of a property, how we increase equity because we renovate the property, refinance it, and then we get an even higher ROI. And then you learn how to submit high quality offers, which is one of the most important skills too. And we talk about this all the time. You cannot buy a property unless you submit an offer on it. You cannot buy a rental property, fix and flip deal. You can't do any of these unless you submit offers. And we learn how to raise capital to buy houses. We learn how to close winning deals. We get transactional experience, how to manage the renovation, how to sell houses for top dollar. You learn how to build your own business. And there's a concept here that we need to understand, right? Right? A lot of us hope and dream and say, oh my gosh, I want 100 rental properties. And we just imagine that we don't have to do any work and we just snap our fingers and 100 rental properties, we now own them and they appear. But the truth is we have to learn. But the beautiful thing is that when we take this path to fix and flip houses, we compound our learning. Because when you list a house for sale and you sell it for top dollar on the market as a fix and flip, guess what? For a rental property, you have to list it on the rental market and rent it out for top dollar. So there's a lot of compound learning that is happening when you're able to gain the foundational real estate skills through fixing and flipping. So the problem of taking the traditional slow path, that employee path, is that it can be slow, right? It can take years and years before even mustering up the capital to put down on one single rental property. So the solution is, rather than waiting 24 years to double your money at a job, right? The solution can be fixing and flipping. And fixing and flipping property can give us faster profits, can exponentially speed up the process of acquiring rental properties to build wealth. Fixing and flipping can provide us with the active income to actually invest in these buy and hold deals. And that we can actually do this without using our own money by leveraging hard money and private money lenders, just like I was able to do, just like we teach our students to do. And fixing and flipping is the path to compound not only your money, but your learning. So that we learn the necessary real estate skills to buy and hold real estate. This is how we create speed. This is how we create leverage through learning. And this is one of the most important things. So grab a little water. And now there's another problem, right? We got to dive into this one because there isn't a lot of clarity going on. There's a huge lack of clarity. And I'm going to break this down and make wealth building very, very simple for all of us. So the problem is that a lot of us are not setting goals. And I'm guilty of this. I've not set goals, and I've set goals, hit them, forgot to reset goals, and got lost again. But here's what happens when we don't do something as simple as setting goals. You're not going to make any progress. You're literally lost, right? You have no goals, and goals point you in the right direction. So you have no purpose, right? What's your why? Why are you doing this? And then you're absolutely reactive. You'll take anything that comes your way, right? You're not saying, hey, this is not worth my time or this is worth my time. There's no signal through the noise. And then you're not able to get any feedback and there's no way for you to course correct. And at the end of the day, when we don't set goals, we're not in control of our lives. If you don't set goals, you become the pawn in someone else's life. But here's what happens when we actually set goals. And the wealthy people set goals. You You actually know exactly where you are going. And I always relate this to Uber, right? We all know what Uber is, right? Imagine calling an Uber and getting a vehicle to drive you somewhere and you don't give them an end destination. What's going to happen? You're going to be driving around in circles for hours and hours and hours and get nowhere. It's the same exact thing when we don't set goals. We don't know where we're going. You're going to be driving around in circles. But when we do set goals, we have the destination, we have direction, you have purpose. You're able to be proactive, which is one of the secrets of the wealthy. And the wealthy aren't reactive, right? They're proactive. They're thinking 1, 2, 3 moves ahead. And they're running laps around the competition. Now with goals, you now get feedback and the ability to course correct. And you have the autonomy and you're in control. And this is how we gain control of our life. And we grab life by the reins. So the reality is that failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you aren't in real estate yet, or if you aren't accomplishing what you want in real estate, it can really be as simple as you just haven't set any goals yet. Because when we set goals, whether we like it or not, our subconscious is working towards those goals. And when we set goals, we put them up on the wall, we look at them every single day, and you're actively working on them and passively working on those goals now, whether you know it or not. And so what we're going to do right now is a very simple yet powerful goal setting exercise that will only take a couple minutes. And this is so we can all get started moving in the right direction, start having a purpose, and start getting closer to the things that we actually want to accomplish. All right, so first grab a pen and paper. And what I want you to do is write down your current monthly expenses. So your food, your utilities, your mortgage, your car payments, credit card bills, everything, write it down. Write it down right now. And for this example, I'm going to put $6,000 just as an example. And now what we need to do is determine the number of rental cash flow units needed to create financial security. See, what we're doing here is reverse engineering wealth, reverse engineering financial security and financial freedom. We're going to break it down very simply on what it takes to cover our ballpark expenses with rental properties. So we're going to put $6,000 here and we divide it by $300 per unit because that's the rental amount, the rental cash flow that we can get from one rental property, just like Ryan's property I showed you earlier. And so we're starting to reverse engineer here. So we have 6,000, we divide it by 300, and now we have 20 units, right? 20 rental units is all it takes in order to cover all of our expenses to be financially secure and financially free. Every single dollar of your expenses is now coming to you passively when you own these 20 rental units. And now let's get into the capital needed to acquire these property. So the great thing about real estate is that we don't need to put 100% down on the property, right? We can put 20% down. We can use leverage and we can use the bank's money. So in this scenario, we're putting a $30,000 down payment per property. And so we'll take 20 units times 30,000, and that brings us to $600,000 of liquid capital that we need to be able to invest in these properties, right? So how do we get this $600,000? Well, if we want to be in real estate and compound our learning by making money actively in real estate rather than having a job, then let's learn real estate, right? Let's learn how to fix and flip and reinvest our money back into real estate. Because watch this, right? See how many fix and flip deals it takes, right? We aim for $30,000 of profit per flip deal. Sometimes we hit that, sometimes we make more, sometimes we make less, but $30,000 is what we aim for. So when we divide 600,000 by 30,000, 20 fix and flips is what it takes for us to be financially secure and free in this example, right? And this is the business model in order to get to where you want to go. This is the business model in order to start having money work for you. This is the business model we follow to build wealth that we've been using for over 10 years and that we use today. And this simple financial exercise has changed a lot of people's lives. What I encourage you to do is screenshot this. I encourage you to screenshot this, put this up on your wall, write this out, rip that piece of paper out so you can start seeing this every day. Because we don't have to overcomplicate this. This is exactly, if you just follow this, you can hit $6,000 in passive income or whatever monthly expenses that you had. You can do this for $7,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month and start being financially secure and financially free. So this exercise is what I share with my friends, my students, and this is how we become financially healthy. Here's someone who gets this. So this is Stephanie in our community, and she's an absolute rock star. So she hasn't flipped just her first house this year. She hasn't flipped her first 2 houses. She's actually flipped her first 3 houses this year. And here's one of her first deals on Redfin. She actually listed the house at $349,000 and sold at $380,000, so over $30,000 above her list price of where she thought it was going to sell. And then here she is commenting in our community, success in this space is a snowball effect. Today I locked up a deal that will be my 3rd fix and flip. So we're very proud of her, and this is the reality of this, right? When we start fixing and flipping property, we start gaining the skills. And it's like a snowball effect. That's compound learning. And what's a snowball? Well, it starts out as a speck, and then it starts to roll, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happens to our nest egg of capital. And that's what happens to our learning when we start to build the right relationships. You start to meet the private money lenders. You start to meet the hard money lenders, get this capital to buy the fix and flips. They're all out there. And then here's one of Stephanie's flips right here. She turned this ugly duckling into a beautiful property. And she did an absolute phenomenal job. And the design's absolutely beautiful. And you can tell she's learned a lot and has implemented. And when you take a look at this property, hopefully you can see that, it's more than just the numbers, that this can be a lot of fun, right? One of the most enjoyable experiences of my life is fixing and flipping property because I know I just improved the value of the whole entire neighborhood, right? There are a lot of properties we've worked on that have graffiti, gang activity, drug activity going there, just a bunch of delinquents, hanging out in an abandoned home. But we actually go in, we improve the neighborhood, we improve the property, we decrease the amount of crime going on, we make a safer environment, all from fixing and flipping the house and fixing the community. And it's a beautiful process like this, renovating a property that can take 3, 4, 5 months to see your end results, and to really just take something from a dream, from an idea to a reality, and make a profit along the way, with the understanding that your learning is compounding. It's making you a better investor. It's making you that ultimate investor. And knowing that every action you take is getting you closer to building wealth, it's a beautiful thing when we fix and flip property. And so the problem that we covered here was that there's no clarity, right? There's so much noise going on, and people never take the time to set a course of action aimed for success. And people aren't setting goals, right? They have that lack of clarity. But all of these results that I just showed you, these are from setting smart goals, right? When we set smart goals, we get that clarity. Wealthy people set smart goals, then we reverse engineer our way to financial freedom and security. And now with Stephanie's 3 flips, what she's doing with her capital is she's actually reinvesting that back into real estate with her profits. So we want to flip a house, then buy a rental property. Flip a house, buy a rental property, and start building up our cash flowing assets so that they can begin to pay for all of our liabilities and expenses every single month. And we have to understand the signal through the noise and not overcomplicate things. And now the next big problem that we see is that a lot of people are reinventing the wheel, and we do not want to be doing this. So here's an example, right? Here's Henry's Hamburgers. Henry's Hamburgers was started by someone that was the cashier, was the one ordering all the supplies, all the hamburgers, all the buns, was the one mopping the floors. And they're the ones that said, I'm not going to look at what anyone else is doing. I'm going to reinvent the wheel and do everything myself. I'm going to try and figure out everything for myself and just put my head down. And when we compare that person, we compare Henry, who reinvented the wheel, versus someone that actually wants to start a successful business, right? When we compare it to McDonald's, and we see the trajectory of McDonald's as the #1 fast food chain in the nation, we have to start to ask ourselves, why is McDonald's so successful? Why are teenagers working behind the cashier at McDonald's and crushing it while beating out companies like Henry's Hamburgers, where the owner is breaking his back and reinventing the wheel? And the reason why is systems. People invest $1 million into McDonald's franchises for their systems, for their standard operating procedures, whereas unsuccessful people reinvent the wheel and are not utilizing pre-existing systems and procedures on how to be successful, or they're trying to create their own systems from scratch. And they're always getting stuck, and they're getting beat out by the competition day after day after day. And it was the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, who said, McDonald's is also in the real estate business, not just the burger business. So they actually own the property that all their franchises are in. And so at Real Estate Skills, we said, hey, McDonald's is pretty smart. Let's humble ourselves. Let's look at what the most successful companies do, and let's engineer our systems, and let's replicate systems where we can. And let's continually modify and tweak our systems. So just like McDonald's, we've been committed to creating our systems and life-changing results, because once you boil down a system and refined it, it's now just become inputs and outputs. And that's what we do when we wholesale real estate and fix and flip real estate and buy rental properties. We're always following our systems to be able to get consistent results. And so with fixing and flipping, on that side of it, someone like Stephanie can come in here and fix and flip her first deals with confidence. And why can she do that? Because she's not reinventing the wheel, because she's leveraging our fix and flip systems. She's leveraging our rehab acquisition system to acquire these properties and to analyze deals. She's not building a completely new spreadsheet from scratch. Like how long would that take? That would take a very long time and tons of trial and error. She's not saying, hey, let me develop a scope of work and understand every single minute fixture that needs to be in a property. She's saying, hey, let me leverage Real Estate Skills standard operating procedures of what they put in their properties, right? What they've been doing for a long time. And she's not saying, hey, let me figure out how to raise money for deals from scratch. She's saying, let me use their hard money lender scripts and their private money lender scripts so I can raise money quickly and efficiently for my first fix and flip deals. And then she's not going to attorneys spending thousands of dollars saying, hey, let's reinvent the contracts that we need to be using for these deals. She's leveraging our contracts that we've already spent thousands and years on. And this is what we do for every single fix and flip that we do. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're using all of our systems. And our contractor system to be able to hire the best contractors, the project management system, the rehab management system, the selling with agents system so we can sell our houses for top dollar, the offers and closing system, tracking all of our expenses. This is what allows us to fix and flip properties consistently and then reinvest back into buying properties. It's systems. Systems like McDonald's. And here's Luke and Adam, right? These are two real estate rock stars who are students in our community. They didn't want to reinvent the wheel either, and they're actually on the East Coast, but they wanted an on-market acquisition system to find and flip houses across the USA. And Luke and Adam actually flipped this property right here that was on the market. They renovated it. They made a nice profit. And this property, they're on the East Coast. It was all the way in California. And they virtually flipped this house, and they went from spending about $12,000 to $15,000 on average a month in marketing to then having the ability to spend $0 on marketing to acquire fix and flip deals just like this one through implementing our systems. And this is how we're able to get success, right? Wealthy people leverage systems. And here's Elenia. She said, this month I'm closing 5 deals, 2 houses on market, 1 house off market, and 2 8-unit multifamily off market. So she's not just focused on fixing and flipping, but also buying multifamily rental properties as well. And we want to fix and flip properties and then reinvest our money back into rental properties, just like Elenia is doing. So when we look here, right, we covered that traditional path, that slow path of being an employee. We covered no clarity, not having goals, and we're covering reinventing the wheel, right? One of the biggest problems out there we see time and time again to actually attaining active and passive income. So instead of reinventing the wheel and starting from scratch, we leverage pre-existing proven systems in order to have speed, efficiency, and to grow faster and to acquire more capital, right? This is leverage. Use the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, get the systems. And it doesn't even have to be our systems, but start having systems thinking, right? If you fixed and flipped the house already, then what are the repeatable systems you're creating day in, day out so you can go flip that next house, right? With ease by leveraging what you did already, right? Are you recording it? Are you writing it down? Are you documenting it? So systems are the answer. This is the answer to a successful business. It's why McDonald's is doing this. It's why they're successful. It's why people cut a $1 million check to have McDonald's systems in their franchise. And this is why a lot of people love working with us, because they can plug in our tried and true systems that we've been refining and adding to over the last decade to not only buy and hold properties, but to also fix and flip properties so you can get that active income and reinvest that capital back into real estate. And so if you want to learn more about our systems, the ones I've been covering right now, and if they're the right fit for you, then just go ahead, go to realestateskills.com/call or click the link above the chat. And we'll dive into the systems, we'll dive into the strategy on this call in even more depth and see if it's the right fit for you. Awesome, so let's dive right back in. And here are some truths for this section. So one successful fix and flip can provide you with the active income to put down on rental property to get passive income. Fixing and flipping will continually teach the foundational real estate skills to build wealth in real estate. So every house flip you do, you're learning more and more on how to acquire these deals at a discount. Then you can go find better rental properties to purchase with more cash flow. But also the truth is that fixing and flipping properties brings in big profits, but bigger profits can mean bigger risks. But once again, bigger rewards. And so with fixing and flipping, the next question we want to ask is, how do we gain these skills, make an active income with no risk and without swinging a hammer, and do it even faster than a 90-day fix and flip deal and make a high dollar amount per hour, right? How do we do that? How do we compound our actions and learnings even faster than fixing and flipping a property? And I'll cover this now in topic number 3. So it's how to find and acquire massively discounted deals in less than 40 hours a week without spending $1 in marketing and without any experience. So here's the first problem to address, and it's time. So it takes time to raise money for fix and flip deals. It takes time to actually fix and flip the properties, right? It can take 3 months, 5 months, 8 months, 12 months. And then some of us have full-time jobs. Like when I started, I had a full-time job. So what we have to do is then carve out the time, the 10, 15, 20 hours a week to be able to start dedicating to learning this. And so how do we do real estate deals with less time when all this takes time? Because there are a lot of people out there who have the full-time jobs, and I have a lot of students who work full-time and have started with 10 to 15 hours a week. So how do we do this, yet still learn the foundational real estate skills needed to build wealth? Well, let me take you back to my very first deal, right? This deal was a wholesale deal. It took about 8 hours of work. It brought in $22,000 of profit. When we break that down on per hour basis, that's $2,750 per hour. I didn't spend $1 in marketing. I didn't know anything at first and started with no experience. And it took 45 days from knowing nothing to completing this deal, right? And this was 12 years ago. And now what I'll do is I'm going to break down this wholesaling process at a high level, which is vital to understand because this is what the best fix and flippers do. Right? The best fix and flippers are wholesaling real estate. And this is because if you're fixing and flipping a property, here's what's going to happen. You're going to put a property under contract that you want to fix and flip, but something's going to come up while you're inspecting the property before you buy it. And the property is going to need $50,000 more in repairs than anticipated. And what most newbies will do is they'll just cancel the contract and walk away. What we do as pros is that we actually, when we're wholesaling, we look at this deal, we could say, hey, we can cancel this, or let's wholesale this, and does someone want to buy this property from me? I'm not going to buy it, but if someone want to purchase this property from me for $10,000 to $20,000 of profit. So it's important to really know wholesaling, whether you want to fix and flip, or even if you just want to do wholesaling, it's important to understand this. And here's the wholesaling process at a high level, right? So number 1, we need to find houses that are distressed and need value added to them. And number 2, we need to submit offers on these properties in order to get the house under contract. And number 3, we then sell the rights to buy the property to a cash buyer who wants to fix and flip the house. And number 4, we're then able to wholesale this contract and get paid. And what we like to aim for is $10,000 plus. And this is the wholesaling process at a high level. And I wanted to share this with you because this is how I got into real estate with no money, with no capital, without having to swing a hammer, without having to fix and flip property, and with limited time. So, right, I shared how you can fix and flip property, how you can borrow $400,000 on a deal, and how that can take 90 days, how that can take longer. What if something comes up on the property, you don't want to fix and flip it? Well, now you don't need to borrow any capital, and you just assign the contract rights to another party for $10,000, $20,000, and you didn't put $1 into the deal. That's the power of this, right? Let me tell you, it doesn't cost $1 to put a property under contract. It doesn't cost $1 to sign a contract. That's all we're doing here. So you can put properties under contract with $0 out of pocket and then sell the rights of that contract to make a profit, right? This is something we've been doing for the last 12 years. That was how I did my first real estate deal. And these are the types of real estate deals we're doing today. And this is where a lot of us get started effectively with limited time, but want to gain the foundational real estate skills. And so far I've talked a lot about reverse engineering, right? And I also just started to talk about the vital importance of submitting offers. So we can't get a deal. We can't get a deal under contract. We can't wholesale, fix and flip, or buy a rental property without submitting an offer. So what wholesaling allows us to do is to get very competent and very good at submitting offers. And what we like to do is reverse engineer our goals and our students' goals. And for a lot of people, they've never made over 6 figures in a year. So what we like to do is just initially break down how to actually achieve 6 figures a year through wholesaling real estate. And we look at about how many offers it takes for us to send out in order to get a deal that pays us around $10,000. Well, we've seen that it usually takes about 15 offers sent to get one deal. And so we break this down on a monthly basis. And if we want to make $10,000 a month through wholesaling, then we just need to send about 15 offers in a month, which is about an offer every other day. So 15 offers in a month. And it doesn't take 10 hours to submit an offer. In some cases, it can take 10 minutes to submit an offer. So what we're able to do with this particular goal is to reverse engineer this to inputs and outputs. If we just submit these offers, we'll be on our way to closing transactions and start to find out what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. And then we can begin to put these properties under contract and start to wholesale them. So let me show you what this looks like when it's put into action. So here's Michael, and he's a member and student in our community, and he made over $187,000 in 12 months wholesaling. But how he started out was he was actually working a full-time job in community corrections and was helping rehabilitate men back into the civil world. And he was looking for something different. He was tired of the rat race and not being in control of what he did on a daily basis. And he always had to ask for permission to take days off to be able to spend more time with his children and his wife. And this is when he decided to start wholesaling part-time with our help, with our systems, while still having a full-time job. And I'll tell you what you don't want to do, which is just quit your job cold turkey, right? Your job is an income source that you don't want to cut off when you're just getting started. The goal is to carve out 10 to 15 hours a week and then start using that time to submit those 15 offers a month to start getting that traction and start making an income from wholesaling. And this is exactly what Michael did. He started wholesaling part-time while having a full-time job, and he started to get traction. And Michael was able to get started wholesaling houses, was able to leave his job in community corrections, and switch to being involved in real estate full-time. But he only did this once he had that traction and an additional source of income, and now the confidence, the community, and support behind him. Right? Only then did he switch to investing into real estate full-time. And now today, he's not only wholesaling, but also managing fix and flip projects and learning a ton along the way. But most importantly, Michael doesn't need to ask for permission anymore to take his time off and doesn't need to get his supervisor involved when he wants to spend time with his wife and his children because now he's his own boss. And here are just some of the deals Michael's been able to wholesale. And here's one of his comments to our community and group. He said, 12 short months later, I was able to complete 13 deals for a total income of $187,000. And so he averaged about $14,384 of profit per deal, which ain't bad, right? And so when I showed you the metrics, right, these are the signals through the noise. That's why I'm showing you this. We start to set these metrics and these goals, and we start aiming for them, and we have direction, and we shoot for them. And sometimes we surpass our goals, right? That's what we want to do every single time, and that's what I want for everyone. But also what I need to do here for Michael was to set reasonable expectations. Because if you come in here and you think, hey, I'm just going to submit one offer and have an 100% acceptance rate and make $10,000 on every single offer I send, then you're going to be sadly mistaken and you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to have the right expectations and understand that it takes about submitting 15 offers in order to get that yes. And the wealthiest people and most successful people understand that the more no's you get, the closer you are to that yes. So we understand that when submitting offers, it will take 14 no's in order to get that one yes that we need. And we celebrate our no's because we know that we are that much closer to a yes. And so we have this problem of time, right? It takes time to fix and flip deals, such as 90 days, 6 months, or having a full-time job and only having 10 to 15 hours to commit to this, right? So what's the solution? Well, the solution, or to make an active income without having to fix and flip a property and with less than 48 hours a week of time, the fastest way possible is to wholesale real estate, just like Michael did, right? Who started part-time. And when done the right way, wholesaling virtually has no risk, right? Now there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do things, right? I can drive on the wrong side of the road into head-on traffic. That's the wrong way to do things, right? I can hurt someone by doing that. So just like with wholesaling, there's a right and wrong way to do it. When wholesaling the right way, we have backout clauses in our contract. So we're never, ever liable to actually buy the property. And that's how you can submit offers and wholesale houses and close deals with no risk and without having capital, because it doesn't cost any capital, it doesn't cost any money to submit a contract. And when done the right way, you don't have to do any of the work. You don't have to swing the hammers or hire the contractors. Yet you still gain the foundational and most important skills for building wealth, and that's the most important thing. You're still doing all the necessary actions if you want to successfully fix and flip and buy rental properties. And you now know how to acquire property below market value at a discount. And now you can wholesale a house and make $10,000 to $20,000, or you can choose to raise the money and fix and flip the house and potentially make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or more, and then start buying rental properties. And in real estate, I haven't seen a faster income source than wholesaling. And you don't even need to be licensed to wholesale houses. So if you want to get a real estate license, right, how long does it take? It can take months and months, and then you have to take a test. And then if you fail the test, you have to retake it. Now with wholesaling, you can start immediately. And it's about having the right knowledge and implementation and systems and to start submitting offers so you can take the right actions needed to get the results that you want. So wholesaling allows us to get there faster and build that nest egg of capital to be able to reinvest back into real estate. And now let's get into the next problem, right? We just covered time, and tons of people fall into this trap, and it's finding deals in the red ocean. So the red ocean is the off market of houses that aren't on the market. And the red ocean is the smallest pool of deals with the most amount of competitors. And what happens is when you're looking for off market deals, these sellers who want to sell their house off market, you're then competing with real estate investing companies that have decades of experience doing this and $100,000 a month marketing budgets. And these competitors, they're sending mailers, they're doing advertisements to all these sellers off market. And unless you have a big budget to hang out with these guys, you're not really going to have a fighting chance. And this is what we've seen to be true over the last decade. Now, what also happens is you're competing against real estate brokers and real estate agents who are doing the same marketing as these investors. So you're not just competing with these high-level real estate investors, you're now competing with real estate agents who want to put that house on the market, who are marketing and door knocking and doing all different types of advertising. So what happens very quickly is that off-market doesn't become an even playing field and the cards become stacked against you. And so for a lot of us starting out, and I was here too when I started, I didn't first just start in the MLS and on market. I was licking envelopes at first, just like this guy here, and I was handwriting letters. And I actually have a letter in my office from over 12 years ago, just as a reminder of the hard and silly work that I used to do. And it just always reminds me that I need to work smarter rather than harder. And so most investors in the red ocean, they're putting out bandit signs on the side of the road that say we buy houses cash on them. And they're door knocking and sending these mailers. And it's not uncommon to see someone who wants to get started in real estate and to be able to wholesale and fix and flip and buy and hold houses consistently to start spending $3,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $15,000 a month, $30,000 a month in marketing just because they read some forum or someone told them to do it. And I've seen this to be true every single day for the last 12 years. But here's one of the most important stats when we start looking at the opposite direction of off market in the red ocean. The National Association of Realtors came out saying 89% of home sellers worked with a real estate agent to sell their home, 7% sold via FSBO, which is for sale by owner, and less than 1% sold via iBuyer. Now, what this statistic is saying is that 89% of houses last year were sold in the market and with a real estate agent. And that is where the majority of real estate transactions happen, which means 11% of the houses that were sold were off the market. So instead of focusing on that small red ocean, that small pool of 11%, we focus on the big blue ocean where the overwhelming majority of real estate transactions are happening because we know it's not going to dry up. We know that there's an abundance of deals in the blue ocean on the MLS, which is why we focus here. And the MLS is a blue ocean of on-market deals with less competition, and we're not competing with companies that have been doing this for decades, and we're not competing with other companies' marketing dollars. And we work with real estate agents, not against them, to wholesale, fix and flip, and buy rental properties. And it's a wide open playing field where the odds are actually stacked in our favor to succeed. And here's a screenshot of the MLS, right? This is where new leads come in on the market every single day, and it doesn't cost $1 to acquire these leads and to close a deal from the MLS. Whereas off market in the red ocean, it can cost $5,000 to $10,000 in marketing to acquire one of those deals that you can then wholesale, fix and flip, or buy and hold. That's a significant difference. On market, $0 versus off market, $5,000 to $10,000. That's a lot of savings once we start talking about volume. And with the MLS, it's like a revolving door. There are new properties being uploaded for sale every single day, and it's the largest marketplace of houses in the United States. So armed with this knowledge over 12 years ago, what we decided to do was not focus on the 11% of off-market deals. We said, hey, let's focus on the 89% of on-market deals. Let's focus on developing our systems. And this is why my partners and I, our first year, were able to complete over 50 deals and over 1.2 million in profit. And this is one of the big reasons why people love working with us, because we have developed our systems over time to wholesale, fix and flip, and buy rental properties. And not just single family, but commercial and multifamily. And once again, I'm going to humble myself, right? We look at McDonald's. What does McDonald's do? Why are they so successful, right? Why can 18-year-olds and 60-year-olds come in there and start having success in their business? And it's because of their systems. That's why, right? Their systems. So we developed our MLS offer system, have been refining it and improving it relentlessly throughout the years. And what we're able to do with this system is we're able to acquire cash buyers, right? The scripts on how to intake their information. These are the people and the companies that buy our wholesale deals, and everything we need to know to find them and develop rock solid relationships with them. And then we have our business essentials, and you don't actually need to start a business in order to get started. Right? You can wholesale a house in your personal name, and this is what I've done in the past, and then use those profits from my first wholesale deals to then actually start a business. But what we enjoy doing is teaching everyone how to actually build a business, right? Why? Let's be business owners. Let's get the tax benefits. Let's actually build a business with systems and plug other people into it so we can graduate from being an employee to a manager and the actual entrepreneur running the business, right? This is one of the many benefits of using systems and setting up your business. Then we have our proof of funds system, which allows us to submit high quality offers. We have our MLS access system, our MLS lead system. So how to find and filter leads consistently. We walk through the build out of our CRM, and this CRM we've used for 12 years, and it's exactly what you need to manage every single lead to move it just from a lead to a closed deal. And within this system, we also have over 9 different strategies we perfected over time to be able to find these deals on a daily basis and to be able to wholesale, fix and flip, and buy rental properties across the US. Then a discovery call system. We have battle tested and proven scripts from thousands of phone calls that generate tens of millions of dollars. Then our property analysis system, right? We as you can see, we systemize everything. And this is why our students have success. We do not do something 10 times in a row and not develop a system. And as I mentioned earlier, right, we have students all across the United States. This just doesn't work in San Diego or California or Nevada. But here's a post in our community recently from Kiera in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I want to show you this check because this happened the other day where she did her first deal and she started working with us. And in 30 days, she was able to complete her first wholesale deal and made $15,000 because she was able to plug and play our systems and get started running. And now she's made the most money in the quickest amount of time that she's ever seen. And then here's Mustafa, right? Mustafa came in here, implemented our systems, and his first month did a $20,000 deal. And right there he's saying, hey, my first deal closed today, my first month, thanks for wholesaler fam. And so it took him 30 days, but he probably came in here in 2 weeks, had to learn our system. So it probably took him about a couple of weeks of taking action to get this deal. And these are the systems that we use today to actively wholesale houses, right? Here's just a few of the deals in our pipeline, as you can see. In about the last 30 days, we've done about $47,500 in wholesale fees. There's some checks, there's some of our deals. And it's because we have a system, and this is what we've been doing for a long time, right? Why would we ever stop this system when we're able to consistently wholesale deals month after month, year after year, and then reinvest our money back into rental properties, right? That would just be silly. So where one of the biggest problems people have is that they focus on finding deals in the red ocean, it's because they don't know any better. And the undeniable truth and solution is that the MLS offer system is the solution. The blue ocean of the MLS has less competition and more deals than the red ocean of off-market. And wholesaling and flipping multiple houses per month doesn't cost $1 in marketing compared to off-market, which is going to cost $5,000 or $10,000, even more per deal. And every day there are distressed houses perfect for wholesaling, flipping, and buying as rental properties from the MLS. And if you're not wholesaling and flipping and buying rental properties like these each and every month from the MLS in your market, then probably one of our students or we'll be very soon, because there are deals in each and every market. And then here's another problem as well, right? This is one of the biggest problems why people aren't successful when it comes to building wealth and real estate and closing deals, and it's the awareness problem. And this one absolutely held me back at first. So this past year, I did a lot of triathlons. Now, it wasn't because I like swimming for an hour straight or biking 50 miles or running 13 miles, but because I like learning new things. I like putting myself in the beginner mindset just to have those feelings of what it's like to learn something new. Now, at first, when I started triathlons, I was pretty ignorant. I thought it'd be pretty easy to just start picking up swimming again and swim a mile. But let me tell you, right, I was ignorant at first and I was horrible and it was not easy. And so what happened was I started to develop an awareness. Of what I was pretty bad at, right? I understood that, man, my lungs are burning. I am fatiguing. I can't swim for 30 minutes straight. I need more help. But what people get confused with is that they now know that they need to swim more. They need to take more actions. And they have this awareness, okay, cool, I got to train more. But where people get confused is that they think just, oh yeah, I just need to train the know-how of doing the thing. They think that that awareness will give them competency in that thing. And they think that that will then bring them results. But when I tell you, I wasn't able to actually do a triathlon and start beating my competition until I implemented. Until I actually started consistently training 5 days a week, riding the bike, swimming, doing the running, doing the recovery. No results and no progress was made until I actually started doing the work. And if you want to be successful in real estate, it's not just about having awareness. If you want to be successful in anything, right? It's not saying, oh, I know I need to do that something. I know all of this. It's actually about doing the thing, getting the results. It's not just about watching a YouTube video. It's not just about reading a book. It's about the implementation. It's about the reps. It's about the daily and weekly actions of actually taking action. That's what develops competency and develops results. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Why are some people successful in this world, yet some people are not, yet they have access to the same exact information and they have the same amount, 168 hours in a week? The only difference is that the successful people took action and they implemented and they got feedback, right? And so with a lot of us, right, I get stuck in this. We confuse awareness and simply just knowing about something for actually getting results. But it's when we actually do the thing and implement, that's when we get the reps. We set the goals, we get the feedback, and this is how we get to where we want to go. And this could be the thing that's holding you back, which is taking action, because I know this has held me back in anything new that I'm doing before. And in my own personal way of viewing the world, if I have 51% of the information that I need to take action, in my book, that's good enough for me to take action. Because we will never acquire 100% of the information that we need to take action and to get the results that we want. So I didn't know 100% of what I needed to do my first wholesale deal. I didn't know 100% of what I needed to do on my first fix and flip deal. I didn't know 100% of what I needed to do on my first rental property. But I knew 51%. And that's enough for me to have faith and confidence in myself, because I know that the other 49% of what I need to know is going to come from me taking action, implementing, right? It always does. The road always appears. And someone who understands this and follows this philosophy as well is Peter. So I love Peter. I love hanging out with him. He's an awesome guy. He's a super dad. And he has 2 awesome children as well. But before he got into real estate, what he was doing, He was actually a graphic designer and freelance photographer, but he was starting to get sick of having to clock in and clock out every single day and not really having control of his time. And Peter hoped that real estate could allow him to actually leave his job behind and create a new career and lifestyle for himself. So he enrolled into our program, studied, and decided to implement what he'd learned. And I was actually talking to Peter the other day. He actually signed a contract to himself that he was going to make real estate happen for himself and his family. And one thing I talked about earlier was the importance of going all in. Peter actually signed a contract to himself. He made a promise to himself, and look what happened when he went all in. Peter got started as being able to wholesale and fix and flip, and here's his first deal that he did that brought in $70,000 of profit, which he actually split with his business partner, so him and his business partner each got $35,000. And now he's done more wholesale deals, fix and flip deals, and wholesale deals. He's also flipped land, and now he has the skills and confidence to know how to make offers, how to make safe investment decisions, and knows how to put great deals together. And now today he's using real estate to build a legacy for his children and even retire his mother. So this is what happens when you go all in. You start to get results. And here's Roxy. So when she implemented, she actually made $45,000 wholesaling in her first 90 days. And she's a single mom, and she has 3 young children, and she was determined to create a better life for herself and her children. And at first, she was using off-market strategies in the red ocean. She had a team of door knockers, literally knocking on doors saying, hey, are you interested in selling your property? But guess what? It wasn't cutting it. And then she switched to the blue ocean of the MLS, and now she's done amazing. And now she just needs her phone and her laptop to be able to find these deals and submit offers. And within her first 90 days of joining, she made $45,000 through wholesaling. And she's not only wholesaling now, but she's also fixing and flipping and doing new development. And there she is submitting an offer. And this is the beautiful thing. Once we start to implement, the path starts to show for us and the results start to come. The only difference between you and someone who's actually making real estate work for them is the implementation. Once we start to implement, the results start to come. And what we do at Real Estate Skills, what's most important is that we bridge the gap through education and results through implementation. And how we do this is through our 4 pillars. How our students are able to be successful is through our 4 pillars. This is what we call the perfectly engineered foundations. We give all of our students our world-class training and education, the step-by-step training to wholesale, to fix and flip, and to buy rental properties across the nation. And let me tell you, this is so much different than what's out there on social media, right? This isn't a 60-second TikTok video, right? Both of the videos I'm showing right here are over an hour. These are just a couple of the many detailed trainings we have going into the steps on exactly what you need to do. So no stone is left unturned in this training, and we cover everything you need from A to Z. So students can come in here, know exactly what they need to do to get started implementing. And Ryan and I built these trainings together. This is over 12 plus years of knowledge and results distilled into these training sessions. And these trainings took years to develop. So everyone who's a student in here, this is like an MBA in real estate. Right? It's like taking an MBA class in real estate. That's the type of training and education that you get. Now, our second pillar is our world-class systems, tools, scripts, and resources. So how do people come in here as an amateur and then 20, 30 days do their first deal like a professional? Well, the difference between an amateur and professional are their tools, their systems, their resources. This is why people pay $1 million for the franchise of the McDonald's to get the SOPs, right? Imagine someone entering into a space not having anything versus having all the standard operating procedures, the scripts, the tools, the contracts, right? How much of a difference would that make if they could just plug and play? How much easier does it make it, right? And so everything we've done throughout the years, we've solved with a script, we've solved with a system, with a contract, or with a tool. And all of our students get access to these, which allows you to have speed and leverage and efficiency. And these are all the same tools we use and continue to refine today. And this is what makes it very simple to get started, so you can go ahead right away and start implementing. Now, this isn't enough because awareness isn't enough, right? Even with these tools, it's not enough, right? We have to start implementing the trainings and these tools and these resources. And how we help you implement is through pillar 3, our world-class live coaching and support. So hours and hours every single week. If you need help, if you're stuck with something, we help you get unstuck. We hold you accountable and help you gain the momentum that you need. We do deal reviews with our students across the nation who are submitting offers on deals. And it's a very exciting community, and we love coaching our students and helping them to analyze these deals and to improve at this process. Because the first time, guess what? First time you're analyzing a deal, it's not going to be a great deal at first. You're going to stink at it. You're going to overestimate numbers here, underestimate numbers here, right? We all do this. And our coaching and support gives you a safe zone to start analyzing deals and to get real life feedback from coaches and expert advisors that are actually doing this. And you'll never, ever, ever be left alone. And you'll always get a second and third set of eyes on every single deal that you do. And the reality is that every single deal is a little bit different, right? Some deals have permits, some deals don't. Some deals need value add to them, like development, and some don't. And we assist you with these nuances so that you never get stuck and keep the momentum going. And now our fourth pillar is our world-class mastermind community. And when I started out in real estate, right, I had some older friends, and they didn't really understand being a real estate entrepreneur, right? They're working W-2 jobs, working 9 to 5, and they all had the limited employee mindset, right? They didn't understand that the harder you work and the smarter you work, the more you can be rewarded. And so what we do in our community is we surround ourselves with winners and finishers. We surround ourselves with people who have the investor mindset. And this is where our mastermind community comes into play. This is a whole entire community of winners and finishers, full of people that have the investor mindset, and we even have students doing deals together. And we have around-the-clock support in the community where you get your questions answered and get all the help you need from your tribe. And then there's Mustafa, who I mentioned earlier. He's actually partnered up with a deal with Gotham, and then also did an $18,000 deal with another student in the community. So we have a turbocharged community where students are doing deals together, where you can be around like-minded people on the same journey and really find your tribe, right? This is where we interact with our students every day and with all of our clients. And here are just some of the wins. And you can start to see the conversations and wins on cash buyers and proof of funds, where we're at, the wins for the week. And what we do here is we celebrate all wins, which is so vital to do on the road of success. So with our problems, we hit on time, we hit on finding deals in the red ocean, and then awareness, right? The solution to actually getting results is not awareness, it is implementation, right? Just reading the book doesn't get me there. Just watching the YouTube video doesn't get me there. It's about the implementation, right? And we perfectly designed these 4 pillars to bring financial freedom and security through successfully getting started, wholesaling, fixing, flipping, and buying rental properties, and start building long-term generational wealth. And we focus on this code of wealth, the evolution of a real estate investor. We focus on the signals through the noise. And it's these 3 avenues that get us to building wealth, right? By wholesaling to get quick profits, learning, and consistent cash flow to the business, which we can start doing part-time to make an active income in real estate. We then wholesale and fix and flip so we can start getting larger profits on our flip deals. We then roll our nest egg of profits into buying and holding rental properties that provide us with passive income and cash flow and long-term generational wealth, right? These are the signals through the noise and all we need to be doing to get to where we want to go. And now I do have a special announcement that I want to share because like I mentioned earlier, systems are not just meant to be created one time. They're meant to be refined. They're meant to grow over time. And when I looked at our 4 pillars as a system, we decided to create our 5th pillar to make this system even better. Because we want to help anyone to get started and build wealth faster and easier. So we racked our brains on how we could do this. We surveyed our community to see what our students wanted and needed to help them achieve results faster. And with our great reputation from being part of hundreds of transactions across the US, from having a network of investors across the United States, we said, how about we help everyone in our community to close their wholesale deals? What if we help everyone in our community to get these deals across the finish line? So what we've done for anyone in the community is we actually create a 5th pillar where we close wholesale deals for you, where all anyone has to do is find a great deal and put it under contract. And if all the parameters check out, then our investment company will do the rest and close the deal. And here's what the rest looks like. This is our cash buyer concierge system. This is what we've developed to take over 50% of the work for a community member who wants to close a deal. And what it looks like when we take over this 5th pillar is that, number 1, we thoroughly review the contract to ensure all your terms are clear and favorable. We assess the deal itself to confirm its viability and profitability. We create a fully optimized listing to attract maximum interest. So we're taking an approach where we list it in front of all of our buyers and they can tell us where they want to offer and where and when they want to buy this property. We then identify and reach out to specific buyers in the market too. So we not only list the property, but we take a sniper rifle approach to find the best buyers we can find. And we make emails and calls and texts to promote your deal to increase the likelihood of your success in wholesaling this deal. And then we field calls from interested buyers and we sell the deal and the opportunity to investors. We then arrange walkthroughs between buyers and sellers and ensure the deal reaches completion, and we maximize the financial return for your deal as much as we can. So we expose your deal to 10x to 100x more buyers, and our goal is to achieve the highest possible exposure for your deal. This is what we do for our students and what we just released. So all you have to do is find a good deal, put it under contract, and we'll handle the rest. The contract review, the deal review, comp verification, list creation optimization, the cash buyer search, outreach calls, arranging property walkthroughs, and closing transactions. All right, our students are excited about this, and we're clearly ecstatic about it as well, because this will allow you to start wholesaling even faster now, allow you to start implementing even faster, and that's our goal. We're always working towards helping our students to succeed faster. So we're taking over 50% of the work so you can start making an income from wholesaling faster, then fix and flip, and then buy and hold rental properties and build wealth. And so if this has resonated with you, here's what the future can look like, right? There's two options. Number one, you can go at this alone with no systems, no leveraging of teams, and it's going to be slower because you're reinventing the wheel. It's going to be full of mistakes. It's going to be more expensive when you're doing unsophisticated marketing where there are leads for free right underneath your nose. And it's going to be more painful because you have to go through all the mistakes and all the trial and error yourself. Or two, here's what it looks like working with our team with people who have been there and done that. It's absolutely going to be faster. I mean, the cash buyer concierge just alone eliminated 50% of the work, which makes it twice as fast. You'll be able to avoid 12 plus years of mistakes. I mean, collectively with my business partners, we have decades of experience doing this. So avoid our mistakes of buying the bad rental deals that are unprofitable. Let's focus on the profitable rental deals, right? Let's focus on the profitable fix and flip deals, the better contractors. Let's focus and make the right decision. And it's absolutely going to be cheaper overall rather than doing everything by yourself, and a lot more fun. And now with the Cash Buyer Concierge, done for you. And so if this program interests you, then all you need to do is just apply and schedule a free 45-minute phone call with my team and I, and we'll go through all of the details of the program. We'll go through all of the 5 pillars in case anything wasn't clear, and we'll see if our systems and methodologies can work for you. And we're confident that this works in a market, but what we want to put an emphasis on is making sure that we're both a good fit. As you can see, we want to work with people that are willing to go all in, who are determined and coachable and have whys bigger than themselves. And it's very important that we look for these qualities and that you're ready to invest in yourself. And if that's the case, if we're the right fit, then we'll extend an invitation to you into our program. And if it makes sense, great. If not, no big deal. We only want to work with more great people and are only looking to add great people into our community. And the truth is, you don't need tons or any experience. Everyone I shared here today didn't have previous real estate experience. I didn't have previous real estate experience when I started. And you don't have to be tech savvy. When you get all the systems and the technology that's built out for you, and you don't need to build the technology, you just implement, and you don't need to be tech savvy. And the truth is, you don't need to spend money on marketing to get deals. And you don't have to spend $5,000 to $10,000 in marketing in order to get one deal. And it's absolutely possible to start wholesaling and flipping and buying and holding 1 to 3 deals per month. And in order to get there the fastest way possible, you need to not reinvent the wheel. And it was Dale Carnegie who said, knowledge isn't power until it is applied, until it's implemented. And when we're able to apply this knowledge, this is what the future looks like. The ultimate investor looks at a deal and has multiple exit strategies. It's not just about one strategy. It's not about being a one-trick pony. We also ask, are we going to fix and flip this property and have it be a 3-month project, right? Are we going to raise money for this deal and make $60,000 of profit through flipping it? Or are we going to buy this property as a rental and cash flow $300 to $500 a month from it, right? The ultimate investor does all 3. And we never pigeonhole ourselves to just one strategy. And so if this sounds like you, and you want to transition from the red ocean to the blue ocean of the MLS, and wholesale and fix and flip and buy rental properties consistently and repeatedly, then let's talk. You can schedule a free strategy session call at realestateskills.com/call, or click the button below to schedule a call for this week. So if you go to realestateskills.com/call, this is open just for this week. And if you're interested in getting all the tools, right, the systems, the scripts, the trainings, the coaching, the support, the community, go to realestateskills.com/call. So this week, right, my team and I, we will be speaking with you, and we'll see if we can implement these strategies together, and if you're willing to implement these strategies in your particular market. Now, on our call session, we'll work with you to craft a step-by-step game plan on how to best get started wholesaling, fixing, flipping, and buying rental properties using our MLS offer system. And our motto here is, even if it's not a good fit, we'll leave you in a better place than where we left you. So we'll point you in the right direction. As mentioned, we have over 12,500 days watched on our YouTube channel, right? We love helping people out. So wherever you're at, we'll be able to work with you, and we'll see if you're the right fit for our program and community. And just to make it clear for everyone who this is for, because we have a high quality community and only want to work with high quality people, right? We want to work with people who have big goals and those who want to create true generational wealth through real estate, and those that want to get there faster and easier, leveraging our training, systems, tools, coaching, support, community, and investment team to close your deals. And those that want to have fun in the process too, because it's important to have fun, right? We all like to work hard, but it's important to play hard too. And then those that have at least 10 to 15 hours a week to get started, right? This is not just a 1 hour a week thing. It's a 10 to 15 hour a week thing, at least for those who are serious. And this is absolutely doable even if you have a full-time job. And those are coachable, determined, and willing to do the work, right? One thing I always tell my students is you can set your alarm for 6 a.m. to wake up, but Alex isn't going to be there to wake you up at 6 a.m., right? You got to get out of bed and start doing the work for yourself. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to submit the offers in order to get the results. All right. And then who this is not for. So it's not for those who are looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, right? I've been doing this for over 12 years. And there are some deals you're going to be able to close in a day, in a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, sometimes months. But you have to have the right expectations that we're in this for the long term. I'm not in here for days or months. I'm in here for years. The goal is to build long-term generational wealth. And if you're not coachable, we do not want to work with you, right? You must be open to coaching in order to improve and get consistent results, right? Warren Buffett had a coach, Benjamin Graham, Michael Jordan had a coach, Phil Jackson, right? Successful people have coaches. So we have to be open to coaching. And we've been there, we've done that, right? You have to be open to this in order to get feedback so we can help you improve. And we do not want to work with people who make up stories and wear the victim suit. So we have to take responsibility and action. The only thing that's holding us back from achieving the success that we actually want and that we need is ourselves. The people I've seen have the most success are the ones who believe nothing is holding them back and that they can be successful. Right? If we're always saying, hey, I need to read the next book to get started, or I need to wait until the year begins to get started, these are all stories we're telling ourselves on why we can't get started on real estate today. So we have to eliminate all the stories, otherwise we'll just keep on making up stories and never actually get started. That's the reality of it. And then those who did not have a why bigger than themselves. You must be motivated to excel and have meaningful goals. Now, some of us have never set meaningful goals. So on this call, part of the importance of it is we'll help you structure realistic goals that you can work towards accomplishing. And this is not for people who want something for nothing, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? So we work with those who are excited and understand there's a tuition here for our systems, knowledge, training, coaching community. For the coaches to review your deals, get the second and third eye. There's an investment to be in the program. So definitely schedule a call talk with my team and I, and we'll see if you're going to be the right fit for joining our community and becoming the ultimate investor. If this impacted you at all, imagine what else is in the program, right? We're going to be able to help get you started. You're going to have a team help you. We do screen shares. We do deal analysis on calls. We have a lot of help and a lot of coaching in order to help you get started so you don't make the same mistakes we made throughout the years, and decades of experience with my team. So you don't need to make those same mistakes. So there's really a couple paths, right? You can do this on your own. You can try and reinvent the wheel, try to figure it out, and you probably can, but it's probably going to take a long, long time, as I've talked about through here. Or number two, you can get help with our team, help with our systems, help with our leverage, and just know that we support you and we back you. And if you'd like that, all you need to do is book a call, click the link at realestateskills.com/call, and fill out the application so we know a little bit more about you, and so we can game plan on what the future can look like and your path in real estate. So I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks for hanging out today. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.